Yes, y'all. Where are you looking at?
I just noticed in a promo video, I got this shirt on. So, I kind of got you ever done that?
Jeff don't take baths, y'all.
I ain't never wearing this shirt again.
Jeff is hygienically incorrect.
I'm like, how's that? Lord have mercy. Oh, it's all
You
good.
got 2 shirts. That's okay. I didn't wear this show as my mic's covering up. I didn't wear this Just Mercy shirt like 9 times on the show. So, yeah, man. What's happening, everybody? Tap in, like, share. You know what to do. I'm gonna start calling. We're gonna have a new nickname. We call them Rip Nation. Everybody's a nation now.
Rip, yes, Rip Nation. Let's go, baby. With the Rip
Nation, Browns Nation. My boys' church in Dayton, Calvary Nation. I have my one friend. Is like his church is like 3 people. Yeah, I'm like, the nation is your family, dude. So Rip Nation, how y'all doing? What's going on?
We need that shirt, Larry. Make that shirt, the Rip Nation shirt.
Rip Nation.
Like,
rest in peace, Nation. Well, it's another week of Religiously Incorrect. So, Jeff, are we fully in the post-Easter slump yet? Or are we doing all right? What's the?
We are doing okay. I tell you what, man. I woke up yesterday sick as a dog, and so today I felt like Michael Jordan, preaching while sick. But I knew I was going to be in Orlando next week, so I didn't want to miss 2 Sundays in a row. So I pressed through it, and God came through and He worked it out, and so here we are. But yeah, man, I think it's definitely a post-Easter. You still looking for those who came out on Easter, and
they ain't coming back.
They ain't coming back. It's like, all right,
Mother's Day,
baby. I see you next Easter, Doc. So,
right.
Yeah.
Easter's Mother's Day and Christmas, man. That's how it be, man. It's but I mean it. But what do you expect? It's a tradition, so there's nothing wrong with it, man. I
love him. I'm happy. I'm gonna preach to you on Easter like it's like you coming back next week anyway. So
right. Well, Jeff, here's what's going on in the world.
What's going on?
Black lives still don't matter. Apparently. Apparently.
We can wear all the shirts, hats, socks we want to.
Black lives still don't matter. What's up, Pastor Tatum, Nicole, Pastor Lady Dela Cruz? Black lives still don't matter, apparently. So the Derek Chauvin trial is going on. And while the Derek Chauvin trial is going on, they're like, you know what? Let's just kill somebody else. In the same area, in the same
area.
And I'm not even saying that to be joking, because as Black people, we know you have to laugh to keep from crying. Absolutely. Because this is so doggone ridiculous.
It is.
And, you're talking a 25, 26-year veteran who trains other people, who mistakes a taser for a gun and shoots a brother. And of course, to be a whole other story. Then you got what else we got going on? You got Army vet guy. You got G.I. Joe. You got G.I. Joe.
Dude, the guy was walking away. You could see the young black man literally walking away. Get out my neighbor, dude. So I guess the whole block is yours. You just own the neighborhood.
And they claim there was some altercation, but again, like you said, he's walking away, and that's what I see is like, we can't even end an altercation. We can't even walk away. It's like how your wife chases you around the house to argue with you, and you're trying to leave. She's like, and another thing.
I watched a TikTok video where a guy had he had a Nerf gun, but he was making a Nerf gun everything but what it was. So he's like trying to put on his shoes, but he's putting on a Nerf gun. He mistaked the gun for the shoes. He mistaked it for a hat. You can't. Yeah. There's a difference in weight and all of that stuff. It's one is the right hand side, which is the dominant of the gun. Right. The left hand side. You have to be more smarter, and you have to, you don't.
That's the point, Jeff. You do not have to be that. You don't.
You should be. Let me put it like that. You should be smarter. You should, because. Well, I guess since Black lives don't matter anyway, I guess it don't matter.
So what do you think? I don't think there's going to be an acquittal, but I don't think the Chauvin dude is going to be convicted on the charge we probably would like to see.
Yeah, you know, it's all you need is a little bit of reasonable doubt, and they are definitely trying to throw it in there. They are definitely trying to get it in there, get an ounce of reasonable doubt, and so what and I guess what I'm more upset or concerned about is I don't think that we're standing by very lightly about these things anymore, as seen with how they showed up on that guy's grass there in Minnesota, as they showed up in his house. You know, I think we are literally fed up. We are angry. We are tired. And I think, honestly, we have a right to be. I think we have a right. We have a right to be angry. We have a right to say, you know, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We're sick and tired of all these marches for peace, and ain't no peace happening. We're sick and tired of these people telling us, you know, come on, man, it's time out for that.
And as much as we do not want it to happen, because we do not want any life to be lost, that's the compassionate part of Black people in general, you know. But sooner or later, someone's going to retaliate, you know, and something, and it will be wrong. And here's the crazy thing:
absolutely,
if a Black man goes out there and shoots a cop or something, guess what? Black people will say that's just wrong. Period.
Right.
You know, the vast majority of people. But if they, you know, do this looting and stuff, man, I'm gonna go ahead and give me some J's, Doc. I'm gonna go ahead this time. I'm gonna go on ahead. You know, I've sat so many looting sessions out. You know, taking the high road.
Let me tell y'all something about y'all.
My blessings are laying right in front of me.
Let me tell y'all about y'all brother Pastor Todd Johnson. I can still recall.
You can still recall.
I can still recall him sitting up on the pulpit and saying, "You know what? Y'all going out and buying y'all kids these Jordans? Yeah, I ain't buying my son no.
I ain't buying my son no Jordans."
The other day he had 20 pair of.
Those weren't Jordans. Those were Jordashes.
Elias got 13 pair of.
Them is his aunts, man. Them is his aunts and his family, man. That don't come from me. I tried my dad. Dad was slick. Dad let everybody else spoil us so he can get up and preach it. He don't buy us nothing.
Right. I was trying to put him on. I was like trying if I could fit.
You on your way. He on his way because them feet getting big. He on his way. Yeah, man. But yeah, so I mean, I'm sticking to the plan. You know, I'm saying I ain't gonna buy none. I ain't say I wouldn't loot none.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't say I wouldn't let, you know, somebody open up the windows at Eastwood Mall and let, you know, a blessing pour out into the parking lot.
The floodgate of Jordans.
Hey, you know, that's the benefit of being, you know, street known. You get out and do street ministry. You got some cats around the way like, "Yo, Pastor, what you need, Doc? What you need, man? I get it for you. I get it for you. You didn't even have to get in trouble." By the way, shout out to my brother. I'm not gonna say his name, man, but I have, you know, I literally got an offering one time of stolen goods at the church. Like just random electronics and in a Best Buy bag. So I just priced out. I just had the secretary price out the value on bestbuy.com and give the brother a giving statement. Like, this was worth $900. This random hard drive with the serial number scratched off. But hey, it was his first fruits. It was his first fruits. So yeah, we're praying. I mean, you know, I want a conviction. Throw the book at the dude. You know, throw the book at the dude and everybody else. And I do pray. And there are some very slow moving processes legally. They're even saying that the Supreme Court might dig into that qualified immunity that allows officers to justify, you know, to justify the wrong. So we just hope that, unfortunately, so many lives that had to be lost, they won't be in vain, at least in some legal forms. But you know, until something really go wrong in this country, it's gonna stay the same, man. Because nobody gives up power without a fight. Absolutely. And people have power, and even white people who are not a part of, you know, actually committing it, there are just still too many apathetic individuals who just aren't willing to stand in and out of the church, by the way, since that's religiously incorrect. So,
and since we are religiously incorrect, I just want to make it known a lot of them do have. Well, I would say they have power. They have position. Jesus still has the power. So that's you know, we still gonna put it in his hands.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank everybody. President Harrison is in the room. We appreciate you, Brother President Harrison, Michael Harrison with us.
Yes, sir.
Your boy, TJ Thomas, is in the room with us. We sent him a link.
Oh, okay.
Thomas, good to see you, Pastor.
Thomas, that's the man. That brother, woo.
Yeah, I think he signed out already. I think he already gave up on us. I think Pastor Thomas went to go baptize himself again. He said this really is religiously incorrect. All right. Let's hit our first sponsor real quick. I'll talk about the Phillips Family Care of Businesses. We so appreciate Fernando and Mike Phillips, and I'll start with Phillips Care Cleaning, residential and commercial. Don't waste your time. Let us do it. I like the other one much better, Jeff. We take care of the mess that causes you stress. That sounds like a black business. We take care of the mess that causes you stress. They do commercial, residential, floor cleaning, deep cleaning, haul in, haul out, move in, wood floor, carpet repair, a little bit of everything. And they are doing a good job doing it, servicing Trumbull, Mahoning, and surrounding areas. We are proud of them. Hit them up at Phillips Care LLC online or 330-219-7916. And while you're doing it and your grass is growing like mine is, hit up Phillips Care Lawn Services and get that lawn cut. You know it's a jungle out there. Go on ahead and let them come take care of that. Again, they do all manner of landscaping, lawn care, leaf removal, edging, trimming, bi-weekly, weekly, spring, fall cleanup. Call Fernando, 330-219-7916, or look them up on Facebook at Phillips Care LLC. They are the people, and every time I do the commercial about the lawn care, I'm reminded that I owe them some money for cutting the Focus building grass. So I guess I got to write a check now. Support Black-owned businesses. So we appreciate them and thank them for being not only sponsors, but our inaugural sponsors. They've been with us from the jump, and we appreciate it. Our guest tonight, Pastor Jeff, is my big sponsor. Oh, we'll do the one after that. We'll do a little bit later. Oh, you want to do it now? Oh, okay. Big Mike said do it now. We'll be obedient to leadership. Go ahead, Pastor Jeff. That's what we taught us in church, right? Obey your leaders. Bishop Mike said do it.
Bishop Mike, amen. We want to thank God for 5 Grands Boutique, 164 High Street, Northeast, downtown Warren, Ohio. They have all the clothes for your needs. All you ladies can go in there, get blinged up, get your dresses, get your high heels. They got boots. They got jewelry. They got the hats. They got it all for you. Every color, y'all like those off colors, blush and burgundy and all that stuff. Check them out. 5 Grands on Facebook. They are open Monday through Friday, 10:30 to 6, Saturday, 10:30 to 3. Shop5grands.com. Go down there, get your Mother's Day outfits. Don't go down there for Father's Day because they ain't got no more ties. So they don't got no ties for us. That's all we got is ties. But everything for y'all can go down there and check them out. 5 Grands.
They ain't got no ties because you took them all, Jeff. You got them all. If you want to go to the men's department, just go to Jeff's closet. He got all of it. All right. No, we appreciate our sponsors, 5 Grands and Phillips Care Cleaning and Lawn Removal Service. All right, check it out. Our special guest tonight, I want to say this up front. She is obviously well beloved because we got more fire on this episode than I done had with some top tier preachers. So we got to give her a title. But this is my big sis, wonderful woman of God, mother, wife, prayer warrior. She is a mentor to our young people. Warren knows her well. And we miss having their impact here, but we know that they're doing what God will have them to do. She is also the caretaker of the most famous dog in the world, Bones, by the way. She's his armor bearer, and she makes sure he has all he needs. But I want you to give it up for our special guest tonight, Rukiya Bashir Pugh. Everybody, give us some virtual hand claps, some emojis. There it is. How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you guys feeling?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good on the Sunday night after church is over. And we already ate our chicken.
It's kind of late, but I'm okay. I'm past my bedtime, but I'm hanging in there.
Oh, we appreciate you being with us. It's a pleasure. This episode is entitled From Faith to Faith. The journey from Islam to Christianity, from faith to faith. Now, we had a lot far more offensive titles for this episode that Jeff came up with, by the way. Jeff came up with all of these titles. And so if any of my brothers of the Islamic faith want to, I'll give you his address, I inbox you. But
listen, I was trying to make the show hot. I want because I mean,
it's gonna be hot, all right. Yeah, it's gonna be hot, all right.
I was trying to get the title right. Todd was we got. I still think it's it was all right, face to face. But
it's gonna be real hot, ain't it? Yeah. Blazing hot. Well, we're here to talk with our sister. We could have talked to her about anything, to be honest, because her community experience, she works in education, the life of a Christian woman and all of the things that are going on in our world. Very intelligent, beautiful, wonderful person who has a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom. And that's tragic that we live in a world that really doesn't want to hear much wisdom or sensibility these days. But I wanted to hone in on your journey. This is religiously incorrect. Now, we are obviously an unapologetically Christian show, even though a lot of people might not be sure if we're still Christians. But Amber Harrison said, can we address this comment of oppression somebody stated? I don't even know if I want to get into this. Your boy, Brother Elkins, made a statement that he's never seen us being oppressed and that most people of color have records who end up in trouble. Do we even want to go there tonight? Do we even want to have this? Do we want to smoke tonight? Do y'all?
Hold, put the comment up. I need to.
Let's just interrupt this program. The bulletin is scheduled to change by the move of the Holy Spirit.
Put it up again.
The program is subject to change by the move of the Holy Spirit. Bishop Mike, put up Sean Elkins' comment, please. Amber says she wants all the smoke. He says, I've only been here for 36 years, so to be honest, I don't know or recognize oppression or wrong acts towards me. The people colored like me, 9 times out of 10, have had a record. Still, everyone is desecrating our stand for right. I don't know. Are we all speechless?
Keep living.
Keep living. Or read a book, or watch the news, or check out incarceration rates, or voter suppression, or
check out the black sergeant who just got pulled over the other day.
Yeah, he didn't have a record, but that's okay.
I mean,
study history. That's it, and keep living.
Walk down the street. How about that? Go.
Right over there by my job with a air freshener on your rearview mirror and see don't you get pulled over.
I love you, bruh, with all my heart, but I think there's a lot more context to that. But the show is not about that. You'll have to meet us offline about something else. Michael Harrison, President Harrison, listen, we will have a Baptist cussing session after the show is over. I'll call you and we'll just get it all out. We'll just get it all out.
We give us a few minutes, Pastor, stay on. Pastor Dan Harrison, stay on. Maybe we'll bring you on and let you say what you want to say after you calm down.
After it's over. Okay, so anyway, we're talking about your transition, your upbringing, and maybe you could start by just giving us a little bit, the quick and dirty of your background, your upbringing of your family, and we're going to kind of unpack it and just talk about life from growing up in the Muslim faith and in the Islamic standard and what that means to you, what that meant to you as a child, your family upbringing, your parents. By the way, love your parents to death. You already know that. Love you too. Absolutely to death. Big shout out to Ali and Marceline Bashir. We love you and the entire family. So go ahead, give it to us. Tell us about your upbringing, about being raised in the Islamic faith.
Okay. Before I do get started, I do want to give the greeting to any of my brothers and sisters that may be on. Most of them are fasting, so they may not. But and so I just wanted to greet them with the Islamic gesture of Assalamu alaikum, meaning peace be unto you in Ramadan Mubarak, to have a blessed Ramadan, because they are fasting during this time. So let me get right into it. Born and raised Muslim. I didn't know anything about the church, never knew anything about Jesus. And, just coming from talking to friends, a lot of my friends and people have grown up with some type of something about Jesus or something about the church. I had nothing. I didn't know anything. All I knew was Islam. I loved the discipline that came with it. We were taught early to pray. in Arabic and in English, of course. But everything was just about teaching and teaching. I come from a very structured household. My father was very, very strict, and everybody knew that. My dad also led well, growing up in Islam. He taught us how to be aware, how to be accepting of other religions. And so I really got to give that shout out to my parents, because they instilled inside of us, and we knew from a very young age to pray. If we didn't know how to do anything else, we knew how to pray. When in fasting, we didn't have Christmas, we didn't have Easter, we didn't have Halloween, and that wasn't bad for us because we've never had it. So it wasn't something that we were missing out on. We had our own. We had Eid after Ramadan and fasting. We would have our own holiday where we would get gifts and things like that. And so it was a very natural thing growing up. And I'm very grateful for it because it placed in me the foundation to be the prayer warrior that I am now. Yeah. And so that transition going into, well, before I actually came into Christianity, we're Sunni Muslims. My parents are Sunni Muslims. They follow the teachings of Prophet Muhammad and reading the Quran, and 90% actually of Muslims worldwide are Sunni Muslims.
Okay.
And so prior to that, coming into Christianity, I transitioned into the Nation of Islam because at the time it was such a big Black Power movement. You felt good about who you were, and Minister Farrakhan was that fight the power, and it kind of empowered us and made us feel good about who we were. So even on some of the dates that I took later, we were going to like conferences, where he was speaking, and it was all about education, and that's what I loved about it. It was always about empowerment and teaching, and then I made my transition into Christianity. So it was a lot, but that middle sector was kind of crazy. Going into the Nation of Islam, it wasn't a crazy religion. I'm not calling it that. I'm saying that it took me into another place where it was just about Black people and Black people only.
Gotcha.
But it made us feel good about ourselves. Muslims are very protective over their women. And that's one thing I felt like I didn't have when I came into Christianity. In the initial beginning, I did not feel as protected. I didn't feel covered as I should be. And that's one thing I feel that was missing in that link in that transition. So, I kept on pursuing it. And one of the things that I really wanted to focus on was my father would challenge me. I didn't want to disappoint him. And I was always afraid of what he would say or how did he feel about my transition. And he would, I would come home, and just quote a scripture, and he'd be like, it's not what that means. And, I'm like, yes, it is. You just don't like it. But my father, looking back, he was trying to make me true to what I say I believe. You understand what I'm saying? So when I would say, oh, the money is just the root of all evil, he was like, you sound dumb. And I was like, what? Because I wasn't even using it in the proper context when I was talking about it. And my dad would just pull me in. And so I'm grateful for the fact that my parents were very much aware. And they always taught me to respect other religions. And they always taught me to be very respectful to people, in other religions. And I love that about it because I didn't feel the same way when I crossed over. Wow. And I felt like that was a big divide because we have not taken time inside of in Christianity to actually learn about others.
Right.
We go by what the media shows us or what we think we know. And it was a tumultuous ride.
I want to ask about the Sunni to Nation of Islam, and could you give us a time or round about the years or how many years or was it 94, 90, and how long did you stay within that vein for a while? I started going to now Sunni Muslims, of course, I've been all my life. Like I told you, that's all I've ever known. Shout out again to my parents because I'm very grateful for that foundation. And that might be offensive to Christians, but I'm glad I was born and raised Muslim. I take very big pride in that because it taught us so much about giving, about prayer, but I started transitioning over, I believe, in 1989. Okay. And
I started getting into, again, it was that Black, we used to wear the medallions and the kufis and all this stuff. And it just made us feel good. Public Enemy, fight the power. And you got all these different things and it made us feel good about who we were. We were so proud to be Black people. We were so proud to be Muslim. We were so proud of all of that. And it was really just a hype, really, because I had already had the foundation and that just gave me that hype. But it also at that time, which the Nation of Islam has changed a lot at that time, it was a transition of where the white man is the devil. And you know what I'm saying? So it was like the white man is the devil. There's no good that's coming out of it and all those things. And I found myself caught up in that. You know, like all white people were devils. And, you know, so I went through my period of being prejudiced. And when I tell people that, they're like, wow, I didn't know that. Yeah. I was very like, yeah, these white people just want to keep us down. And, you know, it's caught up in that and to lump everybody together. And at that point, that's what I did.
I feel
So
it.
you're saying that the Sunni, is that the right word?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Sunni is 90%, and the Nation of Islam is the other 10%.
The Nation of Islam, I don't know where the nation really falls. I can't really give you a percentage of that. And again, you know, things have changed a lot because even Minister Farrakhan has changed his message. It's not how it used to be. He's grown a lot, but I know that during that time it was just an era, where it pulled us in as young people, especially these young, you know, vibrant young people coming out of school and stuff, and it was just a place where we found identity.
Are you able to share with us? I know you said you transitioned. Are you able to share with us part of your transition on what caused you to say, I want to be a Christian?
You know, when I was in the Nation of Islam, I was in a very, very bad relationship. And this person converted over. They were not actually part of, you know, they weren't born and raised like myself. And when I tell you about my transition, during this time, it was a very abusive relationship that I was in. And I recall this person actually putting, you know, we would physically fight. And I remember I told one of the sisters, I'm like, you know, this person keeps putting their hands on me. And I was just sharing and confiding in her. Do you know that the brothers in the nation actually took him and beat him? They took him, they whooped his tail, you know, because he had no business putting his hands on me. Now I'm born and raised, whether you are in the nation and even with the Sunni Muslims, a lot of us were still interconnected with one another. Because, you know, even with my father started off in the nation. And then as he grown, he became a Sunni Muslim. Yeah, well, I'm not saying just my father, and my mother. And so we've all had relationships on both sides. And it was just a tiring moment for me going through that abuse and just I was feeling hopeless. And I remember running into some people at the Eastwood Mall, and I had been drinking earlier. I think I might have had a beer or something. And they were just talking to me and started witnessing to me. And it was like, you should just come. And I just know that the Lord wants to do. And they were saying all these things. I'm like, yeah, okay. But again, that next morning I woke up and I'm like, I should try it. Let me go see what it's about. I knew the pastor at that time. And so I felt comfortable enough to go and just to kind of hear what was happening. And it didn't happen right away, but I decided to go back again because I enjoyed the message again. And so one day I just felt a pull in my spirit and I didn't even understand it. I just felt that they were having a call for prayer. And I'm like, but it was so heavy on me. I'm like, I'm just going to go up. I mean, what could possibly happen? And now, mind you, I have no experience with the Holy Spirit, nothing about church, don't know anything about Jesus. I'm strictly going up there. God, can you help me? And I remember that day I had such an overwhelming experience of peace. I had an overwhelming feeling of peace. And I felt very subtle, and I couldn't even really understand. I didn't really understand what it was. And I remember someone coming to pray with me and asked me, did I want to accept the Lord? And I knew that I didn't know anything about it, but I'm like, what could hurt? You know, we weren't taught to hate the religion. So I'm like, what could that hurt? Let me go ahead and just, you know, utter these words these people are saying. And I did it. And then I began to want to inquire about what is it that I just did? It was really odd for me, but I wanted to know. And I just began to read, I began to study, and I began to pray because that's all I knew how to do. I didn't know scripture. All I knew was, I need help. God, help me. God, please help me. Can you show me? What do I need to do? I don't like the space that I'm in. So can you help me and try to get me to understand what it is that I'm, the place that I'm in now? And that's how it happened. And I can honestly say, if it wasn't for that experience, I wouldn't have no parts. And so I want to always encourage people, don't seek after religion per se, or don't seek after, I don't even really know how to articulate it, but what we have to drive home is that a relationship is needed.
Yes.
You have to have a personal encounter with Christ. If you don't have that, you will not have anything to sustain you. And Pastor Jeff, that's what happened. I had that moment where I know without a shadow of a doubt that Christ did something inside of me.
Wow.
Nobody could tell me different.
Pastor Todd, I just want to say, I'm not Muslim. I'm a Baptist preacher, but I believe fully that if any man put their hands on a woman, we ought to all go together and go over there.
A Baptist woman.
I'm promoting it. That is
important. Listen, instead of whooping, yeah, instead of fighting at the business meeting, let's go fight some abusive brothers. How about that? Let's take all that energy about the budget and
it's the truth, though. You can't, and you will never, ever around brothers just walk down the street and just do a cat call on a woman or just approach her any kind of way. They're like, whoa, brother, back up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's something that they just don't play with. My father was like that. I remember growing up, my father, we would pull in the driveway and he would go and check the house before we were even allowed to go in it.
Wow.
He would go and check the house, and then he would come out and get us, and then we would go in. I knew without a shadow of a doubt when I laid my head down at night that I was safe.
Wow.
And that nobody could bother me. I had that type of security. So even in that relationship with my dad, that was just a prototype of what my relationship was going to be with Christ.
Right. Wow. Now, what was the aftermath like? You become a Christian and start seeking after the tenets and principles of the Christian faith, the relationship with Jesus, and your culture and surroundings and everything that you have known up to this point is Muslim. So what is the response from people around you? And you can give us some good, affirming, positive, and some, anything that wasn't so wonderful.
Yeah. With my parents, we didn't talk much about it. I know my mom was okay with it. I wasn't quite sure of my father. And I say this because it's not that he was against Christianity. Now that I'm older, I think it was not but a couple months ago where my father said, I'm okay with the decision you made. I'm okay with that decision. And that, I'm telling you what a release that was.
Wow.
My father, for whatever his experience was, which will be in the book that I'm writing, the experience that he had, he did not want me to become that which he hated to see, which was hypocrisy. He did not want that for me. And it was very difficult. It was not an easy transition. I felt alone. I felt rejected. And not that they were rejecting me. It was me feeling like I couldn't share this new life per se with them. It was just an odd time, but they never was like, you shouldn't do it, and let me backtrack just for a second. I do recall going to church one Easter with a friend from school. I was allowed to go, so I just went. And I would never forget, they had a call at that time for prayer and anybody who want to accept the Lord. I didn't know. I went up with my friend and I said this prayer and I sat down. Somebody called my dad before I got home to tell him what happened. That was a no-go.
Wow.
I wasn't of age.
Wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So we weren't using wisdom, because that person should have been a little bit more wiser about that, and they should have just prayed.
Now, when you say of age, are you talking what is of age in your household?
I'm telling you, I was 14, 15.
But you're still under your father's roof.
I'm under his roof. And then when I started going to church, it was just a lot of you can't do, don't do. You can't pray like this. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we are not educating ourselves. And so we just look and say, oh, she's holding her hands like that. Well, guess what? That's symbolic of Islam. You can't do that. Or I would finally get to my parents, like we would go to church or something for Mother's Day. You know, Second Baptist used to be good for, I'm just saying, for having who brought the most people or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
We had experiences like that in other churches. We would go and all of a sudden the whole message was about Muslims.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They would know our love, you know, we have to love, but instead they would just blast them. And it was like, it used to drive me crazy. And I remember someone telling me to go home and just get rid of everything that represented Islam. But I'm still living in my parents' house. Now I'm grown, but I'm still living with my parents. You know, I got married early because, well, you know, I wasn't allowed to shack up and do all of those things. So I got married at 17. And I would never forget even going through that divorce. When I started going to church, a prophet came and said, the Lord showed her my husband. Not the one I was with. But the Lord showed her.
Always somebody's husband in the church. Always
somebody's husband, but he was in the choir. And they were like, this is your husband. The Lord showed me your wedding dress. Now I'm coming out. This relationship over here is bad. And I'm like, wow, man, this Jesus is this is really working for me.
Got it going on.
Because I come from such a strong family with my mom and my dad. I've never seen my parents argue ever in my life. If they had disagreements, I never was privy to it. And so I'm coming from this home that just believed in values, in family, and love. And then I get to, you know, this crazy relationship I ended up in, which was still a learning experience. And then I get over here into Christianity, and now they see this other husband for me. And I remember the guy came over and my dad to my parents' house to pick me up. My dad said, who's out there in that car? And I'm like, it's so-and-so. And, you know, we're going to go on a date. He was like, if you don't get him out of here, you're going to get somebody killed doing it. You know what I'm saying? My dad was like, you're going to get somebody killed. And I'm like, well, God said that. The Lord said that. This is the kind of stuff I'm doing.
You told him what the Lord said.
Because the Lord said it, I guess.
The prophet.
Listen, every word.
Lord.
I trusted these people on every word that flowed from their lips. I mean, now that I'm older and wiser, I know better. But we've got to be careful because what we say, people are so hungry and so thirsty. Our words are so powerful. Right. They'll take them and just eat.
Yeah.
And I'm doing some crazy stuff, and I'm like trying to date and get out of a marriage at the same time. It was foolishness. It was foolishness.
Sheesh. If you don't mind, I want to turn the corner, and your story is just so powerful and encouraging and enlightening because you're giving us the real about how we relate to others and how to do it correctly. But I heard a few themes, and Pastor Jeff and I address a lot on this show. Obviously, we kind of come in with the obvious viewpoint of Christianity that many people have. We obviously know that through and through, but we also know the genuine, sincere, you know, even within traditions of days gone by, we understand that there's a certain sincerity behind it, even though if it's sloppily represented. Mm-hmm. But I heard a few themes, and it struck me that many of the themes that you mentioned relating to the Islamic faith, being a Muslim, are often promoted in some way or another in Christianity. Now, whether they're properly practiced or not is a whole other story. Mm-hmm. But the very ideas are often, and they're rejected in the Christian context, but not in the Muslim context, or maybe they are. So strictness, moral mm-hmm. codes, you know, that kind of strict relation, you know, obviously strictness in the home. You can't, you know, I'm gonna make my kid go to be a part of the religion that's under my roof and all that. We're hearing the opposite. When you hear that kind of thing, dressing codes, of course, we know church. If you go to church and say something about dressing, covering, whatever, you're judging, you're this, you're that. I heard a lot of stuff from you that if a Christian said it, they'd be the most judgmental person in the world mm-hmm. towards that person. Why do you think that is? And what's the difference between the religious context that makes it acceptable there, but not acceptable in the Christian context?
I think, for my experience, it was consistent.
Okay.
It was a consistent thing. And, you know, again, the households are different today. What was said, and they didn't owe us any explanation. This is just how it is. You know, even I don't I all I can say is that there is a consistency there, and that may be the difference.
Okay.
Because right now we've given too much leeway that people can't say, oh, now you're judging, and God says, come as you are, and there's no more holiness, no more, you know, no more things, because we've given people this false power that they could just, I don't know, I don't really know how to say it, but we have given people this voice that's just not, it's not scripture. It's not. And there's a lack of consistency because you have this over here. Like when you see us as Muslims, all of us look the same. We're going to look the same. Even to this day, you'll never catch me in anything skimpy, you know, small, a lot revealed. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. I'm not even comfortable. I can address a little bit. I had to revamp a lot of things coming to Georgia because what I was wearing is not going to cut it down here.
Right.
Even if it's a summer dress all the way down to my ankles, it's too hot.
Right.
Too hot down here. But I believe that there is a lack of consistency. And that's just what it is. It's just taught all the way across the board.
My wife just commented free will. Does the idea of free will and having your own personal relationship exist in the Muslim faith, or is it adhering to the code of the values and morality and principles of the faith?
You're adhering to the code, the moral, and the values. You know, I used to watch my father, and we would do it too, but I'm just using him as an example of going to pray. And they would do something called ablution, and we would have to wash behind our ears and all these different things before you can start praying. And I'm over here in Christianity like, well, I'm just glad I can go to God any old kind of way. But then when I started studying more and just looking at my life, I understood it was almost, again, what he was doing was cleansing himself physically to pray. And here we are, we can come to God any old kind of way we want. And sometimes we come in and we're filthy. We've been raggedy and just jacked up. And then we think we can just run into the presence of God any old kind of way. You see how they parallel to one another. Like it's not really, it's a book called Islam and Christianity, I believe. It's like it talks about how close that they run together.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that. Muslims believe in Jesus. They believe that he was a prophet.
Right.
What separates us is the resurrection.
Right.
But they do believe in Jesus. But before we can even get there to fellowship with you, we're already being blasted. Nobody wants to hear it. It's almost like we have leprosy because you don't want this Islamic stuff coming to your house, or you don't want these Muslims in your church. And I have experienced that. I've watched my family have that rejection, and it's very painful, and it made me very angry at the church.
Right.
And again, if I could say anything now, I'm saying I wish we as believers would take on the mindset that my dad taught us, is that get to know about who they are. Right. Now, I'm not saying no cult or some satanic worshipers. I'm not saying that. But when you're dealing with Jews or when you're dealing with Muslims, get involved and figure out what they believe and why. I'm not saying that you have to convert to that, but then you have an understanding where you can go into relationship with that person and you can begin to dialogue and have a healthy dialogue about it. Absolutely. But a lot of times we don't do that. We just talk about it and we just keep it moving. When I got to church, I had my hair covered one time, and a lady told me I couldn't wear my hair covered. And I didn't even understand why. I wasn't going to take it off because my hair was jacked that day, but I covered my hair. I used to love just covering my hair. I was used to it, and she told me I couldn't do that. You know, it was a lot of things that was just said because people did not have an understanding of what Muslims were about. And I'm only speaking for that because that's what we're talking about today. They didn't understand. So they're just like, oh, that represents the devil. Take that scarf off. You can't pray like that. Don't do that. Don't do this. And I was literally I felt like I was going crazy to the point where I fought somebody at church.
Do we have video evidence of this?
now we're getting religiously incorrect. Now here we go.
We always end up talking about somebody fighting somebody. So let's unpack this fight. Who threw the first blow?
I think because I got to the point where, let me tell you, just being, let me help somebody out today.
Help them out.
When we were in a prayer circle and I was just feeling like the people that were there weren't really who they were in this prayer circle.
Oh, we got some witnesses commenting.
So that would be with them, and they would be one way outside the church. Then we come in and they would just be praying and stuff. And so one day I was just really confused. And I'm like, before I stay there, because again, I was taught you cannot be disrespectful. So I was just going to bow out gracefully. I stepped out of the prayer circle. I joined people's hands together and I proceeded to walk out the door. Well, this person followed me and I went into the coat room to get my stuff so I can leave. And they came in there like, you're not going anywhere. You're going to stay here. And all I could do is fight or flight. It's like, I bet I don't. Like, I'm a whole grown woman. You're not going to tell me I'm going to stay here in church. And my dad was so disappointed. He didn't find out till later, but he was like, what? No wonder they thought you, and he went on and on. He was like, no wonder they thought you had a demon in you. And I was like, oh.
Wait, we got some testimonies coming forward. Rukiya, you've been throwing the first blow. You've been throwing the first blow since East Side softball.
Well, okay, so one thing about coming from my household, again, I was trained and I know how to protect myself. I've always known how to protect myself.
Protect you.
My dad would give me strategies. My parents gave me strategy on how to. We are not punks. Well, I can't say we because that was my, they don't raise no punks. Put it that way.
That's it. I love it.
Let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. You and your husband do a lot of mentorship programs and you guys work with a lot of youth. Are there strategies that you've learned from your past religion or relationship that you had in Islam that you take and you use with these kids that you're mentoring? Because I think a lot of them could use some of the discipline and some of the, structure that comes from the Islamic faith.
I would say yes, we do. For myself, I know that it's more so listening, just being able to listen, and it doesn't matter who it is. It's all about prayer. I'm going to teach them how to get it through because I'm not going to always be with you.
Right.
Like right now, everybody under your household should know how to pray. I don't care if they just know, they need to know who to call when these mass shooters are coming into school. They need to know how to respond. I'm telling you, it's almost to the point of being insane. I'm telling you, but I'm so alert. Mm-hmm. It can almost make you crazy sometimes. It's like, did I check the door? Let me go ahead and check it again. Because if somebody coming here is going down, but we teach them prayer, fasting to empty out. And, of course you're saying, well, you can't mentor these kids about fasting. Yeah, yes, you can. And that doesn't necessarily mean from food. It might be from what they're hearing.
Right.
It might be from what they're eating. You can always say, back it up, So that's something that we actually instill is prayer, fasting, and making sure we listen. Because again, when I decided to leave the church, this person didn't want me to leave. I'm saying I need a break. Let me go. They refused to do that. And when they refused to do it, I tore the coat room completely up.
That's what I'm talking about.
Knocking off hymnals, choir robes, all of it. And then after that, they were like, yeah, you had this demon come over you. And I'm like, I didn't. I knew exactly what I was about to do because you wouldn't let me leave. Like, let me out the door. Like, that's scary to me. You're going to tell me I can't leave the building? But the bad part is that right after that, the pastor confirmed it. He's like, yeah, you had a demon. I'm like, you weren't even here. Like, I promise you, y'all, I didn't snap out. I didn't black out or nothing. I knew that I'm about to clock this person because they won't let me out of here. Like, I knew it. Now, y'all can call it what you want, but I wasn't overtaken by something that just had me going crazy. No, sir. No.
It's sad that we have to make things a religious experience.
We have to excuse it away.
Just human things that happen.
We do have a question from the audience, and that is, do you beat up Bones? That's the question.
Bone, yeah, he gets his share.
He gets his share.
He's starting to come back, but he doesn't get as much as he should. But yes, I do. Yes, Bones get it too.
Call him Peter.
Okay,
Bones
get it.
Let me switch gears, because you mentioned about how, and we believe it. The one thing Jeff and I have to wrestle with, and I think an entirely new generation of Christians and pastors, and those that have been around and like a Farrakhan, seen the error of how so many things were approached, is we have to clean up the mess of so many decades. And this is just our generation, not counting before that. So many decades of mishandling individuals of different faiths, persuasions, not showing love, claiming everything's a demon, all of that kind of stuff. And sometimes it feels almost irredeemable, because if you were to ask us, now Black Christians are the villains, and it's not totally unjustified, because there's a lot of negative, like you said, hypocrisy, inconsistency, judgmental behavior, just, exploitation, bad behavior, excused behaviors, lack of holding ourselves accountable. And it's become such a toxic, and in my mind as a younger man, I'm seeing people who believe something about the church, and they halfway have not even gone to a church, but it's become so common in the mindset. And it's not common, it's not wrong with grandma, mama, the reason they stopped going to church and all that, it's totally real. But now it feels like the intolerance sometimes goes the other way, where the fools, the ones who aren't doing what's right, are people who still adhere traditional church. And of course, I pastor a traditional church I never thought I'd be pastoring, and found a lot of wonderful, sweet, and of course I see the warts, I see the scars, I can see patterns and trends, like, wow, y'all must have been off the chain if y'all like this and y'all 80. Good God, if you was 50, but I also see a lot of sincerity underneath the covers, that again, when people don't get to know what's there. And sometimes it does feel like there's this toxic hatred now. And Christianity is the number one thing that's attacked often. The memes, the quotes, the misrepresentation, all y'all preachers are crooks. Misrepresenting the Bible sometimes and what we believe. I thought y'all believe this, but the Bible say this, and it's some scripture out of context, terribly out of context. And of course, we're all, slave white man religion. Like, is there a redeemable way to rebuild that bridge? What you just said about the respect that your father preached, for all religions, there's definitely a disrespectful tone towards Christianity in the popular conversation these days, in particular the Black community. And so how do you feel we can bridge that? Do you feel that that's a reality? And what can be done, and what can we do? What should others do? What do you think?
I don't think it's going to be done more so with us saying stuff. It's not going to be what we say. It's going to be a consistent walk, but they're going to have to see the power of God demonstrated, because we've come so far away from that, and we've allowed this foolishness to go on for so long. And I do see so many people attacking Christianity as if that's the only religion that has hypocrisy in it. It's not.
Unpack
it. But that shows you
they're
just coming from such a shallow mindset. I'm like, that's all they can do. Well, the church is this, the church is that. You know what? Okay, well then take the church out of the equation. Where's your relationship at? Because I'm gonna tell you, when I came into relationship with Christ, there was a change that happened. There was a shift that happened. And I'm gonna tell you, my eyes were so open, and I was so sensitive to the Spirit of God, that I would ask questions, and I genuinely did not know what, sometimes what we're talking about. We're up there singing, "We shall overcome." I'm like, how? The Bible says we have overcome. So can we change the words? Because now I'm like, what if my sisters come and they're not coming back to evening service? So we got to give them something now. It was like, well, just don't sing. It's nice, nasty.
Right.
And we've been nice, nasty for too long. What we have to do is we're going to be consistent, Todd and Pastor Jeff, we're going to have to be consistent, be authentic, be real about it, because there's no way. It's going to take the intercessors to really go before God seriously to make this change happen, because we've allowed foolishness for so long.
how much
You're
of it
so
do you
wrong.
how much of it do you feel is a certain toxicity between as Black people,
Mhm.
that there can only be one, and sometimes we bounce between extremes where we are extremely just pretending to be Christianized,
Yep. Yep.
and now we have to all just pretend how unchristian and unchurchy we are,
Mhm.
you know. And then you hear a lot of that. I have my own relationship with God.
Right.
I do have my own understanding, and you all in there are trying to tell me to follow any sort of pattern, discipline, fellowship, of course, giving anything. God help me with that, with $1 or two, But there's that idea that they're speaking your language but not showing your fruit. So everyone's
Mm.
talking. I'm not lifting you up or boosting you, but I'm saying that there are people who may not be traditional churchified and all up the choir robe, skirt, and all that, but you do see the fruit of life. But we have people who have picked up the terminology but are not
Mhm.
actually showing any of it. And it's just become the whole, see, this is why I don't go to church. See,
Right.
this is why I don't go. And actually, some of those people probably could really use the structure, the
Yeah.
discipline, the instruction, the mentorship. I
Mhm.
tell young men all the time, even if you don't believe right now, there's a lot of good Black men up in this building that could probably be a great
Absolutely.
connection for you. You
Yes.
looking for a job, you need legal help, you need all kind of stuff. And the church is still one of the primary places, messy and all, where you can probably run into a good person who might help you out along the way.
I truly believe there's a remnant in all these. There is a remnant out there of us that truly love God and that want to see the power of God demonstrated. I think I want to go ahead and just destroy the myth that people say, I don't need to go to church. I don't need you. The structure is needed. The fellowship is needed.
Definitely.
More than that, the accountability is needed. We
Mm,
need to be accountable. And so when we start saying, I ain't going to the church, I don't like, because I remember I said that, but I was doing that based off of an offense. And I was just like, I never want to be affiliated with the church again. And then I had sisters that came in and they're like, well, let me talk to you about this offense and let's deal with it. But a lot of times people use that because they don't want any accountability. That's foolishness. And sometimes you can just go on Facebook and look at their posts and see that there's no accountability. I'm
mm,
47 and there are certain things I will not say, I will not do. And I can do all things are lawful. I can do what I want to do. I'm grown, but I won't do it because I have a mom and dad that I represent.
right.
And if they have their own relationship, then they should have a God that they represent. And it's not, it's like a lot of we've done that inside of the church as well. We've given people excuses. I remember saying, I just got this stronghold. I just thing got a stronghold over me, a stronghold. And my aunt came up and she said, is that a stronghold or do you just like doing it?
Mm.
And
Right.
guess what? When I sat and thought about it, I'm like, But somebody told me it was a stronghold. So I took the stronghold and that's what it was. And I wasn't fighting. I wasn't fighting
Right.
nothing.
Right.
There was no fight there to change or to be different in that
Right.
particular area. But you told me it was a stronghold, so I took it.
Right. I love it. And moving forward, even imagery of Christianity.
Hmm.
I mean, we know how precious people of the Muslim faith keep the image of Muhammad,
Hmm.
and how most people respect that because of how protective they are, and they will again let when you do it. Now you open up Facebook and Instagram, you got Jesus playing basketball, Jesus talking about sundress season,
Absolutely.
just these images that are sacrilegious. They are sacrilegious. Now, honestly, Christians have made clowns of themselves because we joke about ourselves so much. Then we get mad when someone goes too far with it. But we're so flippant about Christian imagery. You
Hmm.
don't see that obviously in the Muslim faith. You don't see that in the public sphere too much. You got some folk that try to push the envelope, but
Hmm.
not a whole lot.
Yep.
Now, does that go back to the brothers that'll mess you up? I mean, is it basically just the brothers will come visit you?
Yeah, they're not playing no games with you. Let me tell you, a group of them went over to Newcastle and cleaned a whole project up. From there was a lot of drugs and all of that, just infested with drug and all that activity. They went in there unarmed. And if I can find that article, I'll definitely get it over to you. And they cleaned that up. They was out there, brother. No, we're not doing that here. No, we got sisters and we got our babies here. You know what I'm saying? These are our brothers and sisters. You're not going to sell that here. And they cleaned that
Right.
whole area up to the point where the police gave them the free apartment out there to use as their headquarters.
Wow.
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 You know,
Because they weren't playing those games. We're so afraid to say something because people were going to be. And again, as you were saying, Pastor Todd, we've done that inside of the body of Christ. We've done that to each other. We've done that to each other where we make a mockery out of one another. Like right now, I'm like, okay, there's very few pastors that's speaking on social justice.
Mm-hmm.
Very few.
Mhm.
And I bet people are like, oh, y'all pushing the envelope. You need to bring it down a little bit. No, this is what we want to see. I know this is what I want to see.
Right.
Do you know how unsettling that is to be in a place where, and I never felt like I ever really fit in the church. I'm just going to let you know that. I never felt like I really belonged because I felt like we were just content with just sitting there and shining the light in each other's eyes. And that's it. It's nothing. That's all we do. We're so excited about a new song. We cry, we snot, we fall all over, and then we get up and we just life as usual.
Right.
No change has happened. No impact has happened. And so we really got to change the narrative for that. And again, it's going to be through consistency. It's going to be through prayer, but consistency is everything.
I love it. I
We
love
see
it.
too much flip flopping.
Just to piggyback off of what Pastor Todd was saying, I think so often, when we look at the Bible and when Jesus ran into the tree that had the leaves with no fruit, I think that's a very important thing to look at, because oftentimes we have these what I call cosmetic Christians that are made up but not made over, and they come in and they wear the right clothes and they say the right things, and sometimes they don't come to church. But the one thing I wanted to ask you about, and I know we're almost out of time here, is that for years I would see these guys out on the corner, and they would be having their newspapers, and they'd be selling newspapers, and they'd be selling the bean pies, and I literally don't see it anymore.
No, and it breaks my heart. I'm here in Georgia and I don't see it as often, and it hurts my heart because they were getting their gospel out by any means necessary. They're walking through cars. You almost like, hey, brother, okay, let me get this. Let me get a car because they cut you off. But they were out there. It's hot as molasses, and they're out there in a full suit.
Right.
They're willing to get in the trenches, and then.
So do you see some of the same trends? Is it bouncing off Pastor Jeff? Is it some of the same trends like Christianity? Like people are now, these brothers that got so many Farrakhan clips online. There's so much being shared in groups and social media that Christianity, we've done the same thing.
Right.
We living off of TD Jakes clips. We living off of,
and
I know there are main speakers I see frequently from the Islamic faith or who represent Nation of Islam, or at least that line of thinking. And I watch that being shared like crazy and stuff.
Yeah.
So have they sort of abdicated to just more of that, what do they call it? An echo chamber of, truth being shared amongst themselves and not really hitting the streets in the same way Christians have abandoned evangelism.
It appears that way. And I can't really say for sure because I've kind of been, I still, like I said, have my connects, but it's just not like it was. We had a bomb community growing up. We loved it. And a lot of them migrated here to Georgia, but it was so many of us. We had computer classes. We had Arabic classes. We had things preparing us. And now I don't see it. And when I went to Old National here and places where I knew they were, they're not there. And it broke my heart.
Right.
So it's the same thing happening in Christianity and in Islam. Somehow, some way, there's been a fizzle out in these areas. I can't speak for everywhere.
Right. I want to kind of switch gears to the end in this ending segment, so to speak, talking about unity among Black people, regardless of our faith, and where we can learn to have respect, because disrespect has become a huge standard among our people. I was probably more hostile a few years back as the woke movement, that sort of resurgence of African culture, because first of all, it felt like an attack because obviously we're one of the targets. You Christian preachers weren't leading you the right direction. So now we snapping back, and it's just all that. And it feels pretty equal. It don't feel like I have the bully pulpit anymore because I don't like the guy 30 years ago did. I don't. The trend has changed. But then I've learned like we are actually impeding our own progress by spending so much time poking holes. I mean, in one another, and you do feel like I don't read the Quran to try to make you a hypocrite, or I don't look up, but you feel like there has to be ways we can look past and again, I love and revere your father and I know that's his spirit, because he comes by second here and there. He stops through, and I love that. I love when I see them, that we have to learn how to build a mutual respect and almost mature, almost like our white counterparts have done, in understanding religious differences do not have to impede racial progress. And a new generation like Pastor Jeff and I think somebody commented, you can find a comment, Big Mike, about the imagery of Jesus, and we were raised in whitewashed religion and all of that stuff. We are so far beyond that, and we are a part of a generation that is trying to make sure we push the true imagery and nature and related. We're even almost seeing a throwback, and it's only a few of us, unfortunately, because I know Pastor Jeff about the only dude I can count on. If I hit the street, he's gonna be there. And out of 40 other pastors in the area, if something go down, you probably won't see, you'll see a statement in the paper 3 weeks later, but you probably won't see nobody at the police station making noise. But we're trying to push that narrative and let our brothers and sisters know we're there with you. And we're trying to correct and bring the church in line with the social justice issues. We are seeing a repeat of the late 60s and early 70s, where we are seeing the need to get aggressive, even from our pulpits. That just the prayer time ain't working. Our white and black preacher friends, our generations are frustrated with us using 50-year-old methods to solve contemporary problems. And we're almost beating ourselves down in our blackness, almost ashamed to call ourselves a black church anymore. Because we think that if we just pray with a few white people, and truth be told, they still gonna go and be Blue Lives Matter, vote for Trump, the black kids after they get done praying. And so we're trying to be more Afrocentric, but we see the barriers of disrespect. And I didn't mean to be so long about it, but we see the barriers of disrespect and mockery where I'm like, dude, I'm trying to sit down at the table with you, but you're creating a problem. Every time you comment, I'm like, dude, let's meet at the church and talk this out. Let's all chat. Let's get our brothers together. And then we don't see the response of how we can actually do something together. How do you feel we can try to get to a better place working through our religious differences?
First, I want to just say thank you for you both being out there in the trenches, because it's not easy. Because sometimes, Pastor Todd, I'll be wanting to call you, be like, dude, just pack up, come to Georgia, do something, like, for real, like, bring your family, come down for a while, like, take a break, because I feel like, because if you feel like that, think about how our elders feel. Think about how my dad in his 80s is feeling, and what he's seeing. This has to be depressing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like we're going back in all of this, and it's just very troubling in his spirit, and I know that. So I can only imagine what you're feeling. We've got to. I don't really know if I have the appropriate answer, because I'm an intercessor by nature. I'm a prayer warrior, and so my first line of defense is attacking that thing spiritually. However, we're going to have an uncomfortable dialogue with these people, and walk away knowing that when they show you who they are, you got to believe it. Like, stop going to the table to eat with them. They don't really want you there. I don't know if that was the right thing to say, but that's how I feel.
It's religiously incorrect, so it is the right thing.
That's right.
They don't want you at the table. We keep on saying, can we please come to your table and eat? They don't want you at the table.
Well, they'll feed you poison.
Oh, they'll feed you.
I think we have to have a methodology of using some of the methods that people like Brother Farrakhan uses. I can remember, and I watch him frequently. They asking him, "Do you hate white people?" He said, "I'll hate my mama if she done what y'all done." And that's just a truth. That is a truism that regardless of color of your skin, what you're doing is wrong.
That's the wrong truth.
Is wrong. Yeah. How you're treating the young black men and the young black ladies in America is wrong. And if we don't stand up and say it, ain't nobody else gonna say it. So we gotta get to that point. And we gotta use some of these methods, and we gotta bring some of them to the table, because if we're scared to say it, somebody gotta say it. Maybe we pray in the background. If it's easier in the background.
That's it. Yeah. I'll let crazy dude, get up and say what he gotta say. But again, we can do so much more. And I've said it, I think I said it offline. The toxicity within the culture is almost to the point where I have some brothers and sisters that have great ideas, but they're so disrespectful towards Christianity. I can't even stand next to you. I have to answer to my church because you're so disrespectful to our faith. There are people that would support your effort, maybe even fund your effort,
Yeah.
But the rhetoric, the hate, the memes. I got 80, 90-year-old church members that are on Facebook too, and they're reading this like, oh, that's your friend, and they feel this way about us.
Yep. So we don't
And we're all
want to
supposed to
bother.
be black. And again, what you said at the beginning about the fire you all have taken, people of other faiths and religion, and the way the church beat them down, it's almost justified, but it's totally unproductive still.
Yes.
And I said recently that those who are not of traditional Christian faith and have seen many things wrong with organized religion have had a prime opportunity to show us how to do it differently, and they haven't. They've almost turned into the clapback preacher. I got the bully pulpit. I can get the likes. I can make a video and blast the church, my black Christian brothers and sisters. So I'll use my bully pulpit the same way somebody did 20, 30 years ago. And I'm like, so that's actually, and sometimes I feel the white man sits back and is glad to see us fussing and fighting at each other.
Yeah, fighting each other
over dumb stuff, mocking one another's faith and traditions, and whatever, correcting whatever you want to call it, because we're doing the job they don't have to do, and we're doing it in a way that they could never do it. They could never get in between. I always say, I have to love you for you to hurt me. You can't hurt me if I don't actually like you.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's what's happening, is we actually are hurting each other with the rhetoric and the pushback and the toxicity towards each other, so that when the time does come to, as Adrian just said, build our own table, we won't want to sit at a table with each other.
Right. Because even now we have all a gazillion churches all on the same block, and everybody wants to, have their own kingdom. Because it's like, why do we have so many? Let's get together and figure this thing out. Will that ever happen?
Yeah. But I appreciate it. I want to put Yusuf's comment up, and we're gonna close on that. He said 100% truth. It's a big turnoff that the black church has often been too afraid to do what the Muslim faith and the black community has stood up to take on. And that is why so many people in the 60s and 70s crossed over to Islam. Accurate. And the willingness to take on very strong and decisive fights against white superiority. And I appreciate that comment, because it is a true reality. And again, those of us who are now on this side of history, we see it and understand.
Yes.
And then when we see the trends of our world taking a regressive place when it comes to racism, not that it ever really was progressing as much as people claim it was, but the open vitriol that has come under the last, basically since President Obama, since he got to the highest office in the land, that we're seeing the necessity for it. And you already know, sis, I'd sit in meetings with my brothers who I love, but I'm like, you just don't understand how we're feeling. You don't understand how I was young 30s, late 20s, early 30s. You don't understand how we're feeling. We feel like this sucker can flip over any minute. But you've been working at Delphi so long, and you got your house.
Absolutely.
Your kids don't even live here no more. So you don't have to, you didn't send your kids off somewhere, and you got up out of this hood, most of them. I'm up in here and want to see schools with my kids. So it's like a different fire. And so I'm grateful that a generation, and we have some strong voices, and Dr. Freddie Haynes and Otis Moss and even Jamal Bryant and William Barber. And we do have new voices taking that baton from the Christian side. It's just about finding ways to bridge the gap and speak about what matters to us all, regardless of how we worship in our own sacred times.
If we can get to that point, we can get a lot done.
Yeah. Nicole mentioned the Ballad of the Bullet. I love that speech by Malcolm X. He said it at the top. We leave our religion at the door. And that doesn't mean I take religion out my heart. It means that I've come to address a particular issue. And when a black boy gets shot, and like we had in Niles Matthew Burks, unfortunately, there was way too many non-Christians. I don't want to say too many, but for us to be the church, there was a whole lot of folk that believed other things that were saying his name more than people in the pulpits.
Yep.
So, I mean, I appreciate the dialogue. Jeff, do you want to add anything in? We'll bring in Big Mike to close us out.
Thank you so much for being with us today. I loved it. Everything you talked about, I loved it. Thank you very much.
It was amazing. You are amazing. We're going to have you back. Maybe we'll have an interfaith dialogue. But I want everybody watching to give it up for Rukiya Bashir Pugh, our beautiful black sister. And I love your commitment to your upbringing, the faith of your childhood, and how you've applied those principles. That is a model for all of us.
Yes.
And people don't like a preacher to say that. Well, it's religiously incorrect. Tune out and catch me on Sunday. But that's a model for all of us that has obviously fed the deepness of her faith in Christianity, what was imparted and given to her by her parents, and still modeled, by the way, because you see that. Go by Milton Street and you will find two beautiful people who are living the same thing that they taught them. And every time I see them, warm welcome, never been treated like anything other than another young Black brother that they love. And that's a testament to your family and your family's strength. And we pray strength for your father and your mother.
Yes.
We love your family and thank you all so much. And you already know, if you need anything, you already know we're here for you.
You got me. Thank you.
At any time. We want to hit our last sponsor and then bring in Big Mike. And I know we're over time, but this was just one of our best episodes. You done gave us all the views, Rukiya.
Yes.
You done brought the whole crew out. We want to shout out from the Phillips Care family of businesses, Phillips Care Training. They just don't clean, they just don't cut grass, but they will get you fit tight and right. Phillips Care Training are the new owners of High Street Fitness in Cortland. You know, we didn't come a long way. We got Black businesses in Cortland. They're running a special. It's religiously incorrect, y'all. Mike Phillips is the owner operator. He does a phenomenal job. Y'all know what kind of athlete he was at Warren Harding and at Pitt University. He never stopped being a wonderful athlete and a wonderful man, now husband and father and believer. And he does an incredible job. He's one of our sponsors from the Phillips Care family of businesses. Hit him up at 330-984-7632 or stop by High Street Fitness at 277 South High Street in Cortland. Drive the speed limit and do not put any air fresheners in your mirror. Come on, Big Mike, shut this preacher up.
Oh man. I'm kind of speechless. I don't know what to say. I've learned so much tonight. I've always been one to kind of respect, to kind of respect different religions. You know, I always wanted to learn what everybody else was doing, what everybody else was believing. You know, some of the older folks, you know, they kind of turn their nose up to it, this and that. But hey, I was always that curious guy. So thank you so much for coming on. We really, really appreciate you coming on tonight. And the discussion was so good. We gotta have you back. Gotta have you back.
You're a religiously incorrect all-star.
Gotta have you back. No doubt. No doubt. I do have one question though. What do you say to white evangelical Christians when they talk about all the violence in the Quran?
You know, let me say this. There's not a lot of violence in the Quran. That's such a myth that Islam promotes violence. It is not a violent religion. Just like in any, you know, we deal with the KKK. They're a Christian organization, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's back it up.
In the Old Testament?
I kind of get a little, you know, I got to watch because the way I answer it, but I just need those evangelicals to just be quiet.
Okay.
They should not say anything.
Right.
If they're not fighting with us, just be quiet.
No doubt. I feel that.
And I say that with all of my conviction.
All of it. Every single drop of it.
All right, Jeff, we have to hit this ad, man. We can't forget this ad. Sorry.
Oh, the 5 Grands Boutique, located at 164 High Street Northeast, downtown Warren. Store hours are Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 3. You can shop 24/7 at shop5grands.com. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, the boutique for the busy woman that needs an easy style. Rosalind Hill at 5 Grands.
Owner.
All right. Any final comments, questions, anything real quick?
I'm just
before we go.
I feel wiser. Beautiful. I feel more knowledgeable. I appreciate you, sis, for being willing to come on. You've done an incredible, excellent job, and we just thank you so much. And we love you.
Job.
I'm going to put on my overcoat. I'm going to grab about 20 black men, and we're going to march down to the...
I didn't mention it, but you know, all we know about Islam is from Malcolm X. So we demand to see Brother Johnson.
Let me tell you this before I go, and I'm going to be really quick. There was a store on our street with this Muslim, but he sold a lot of liquor, like we see all in our community. They got that petition going. shut him down, and that store has not been opened at all on Niles Road at all.
Wow.
So you can do it.
It's dry. It's dry.
Because my dad, like, you're a Muslim, but yet you pumping this poison. Something's got to give.
Right.
He
Yeah.
confronted him. Gone, and that had on Niles Road, right across from in that empty lot. There
It's
has
dry.
not been
It's still
store
dry.
open since.
Yep. It's still dry over there.
So you
Absolutely.
can do it. Dry up the community.
Yes.
Dry it up. It's too many. It's too many stores. I'm just.
That's it.
Right.
I feel it. I feel it.
For everybody who's tuning in for the first time, this is the Religiously Incorrect podcast. We do this every Sunday night at 9 o'clock
9
sharp. So join us. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube. So if you came in the middle of this episode or toward the end, you didn't see the whole thing, check us out on our YouTube channel, Religiously Incorrect. Also,
Like everything. Like us, follow us.
Like us, share it, all of that, man. Spread the word, spread the word. Also, our audio will be available early next week. We are on Spotify, iHeart, you name it. If they have podcasts, we're on there. So
Black
download
Planet.
it. I don't know if we're on Black Planet, but yeah, we everywhere else though. We everywhere else. Yep. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
We didn't land on Plymouth Rock.
Plymouth Rock.
Landed on us. Take us out, Big Mike.
All right, peace, y'all. See y'all next week.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, guys.